Hello and welcome to In the Huddle. I'm your host, JT Thomas, broadcasting live from the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep this show going like we did last week. We got the soccer crew in the house tonight. We got Jack Barnett and Kaylee Lascotti. She's from Trinity High School. They're both soccer players, and we're going to keep this football theme moving. Last week we did University High, right? University High. And now we're going to, I think you guys are doing this to kind of stump JT. I think that's the thing that's going on. And we got our sports reporter over here, Kaylee Concregaro. Did I get it right?
Carly, but
oh,
yes.
Carly, Jesus. I told her I was going to make that mistake. I do this all the time, so let's keep rolling. All right, guys, we're gonna get two phases of this show tonight. We're going to talk about soccer a little bit, and we're going to talk about WVU and what they've done this past weekend. But let's get right back into it and start off where we stopped last week, and that was with soccer. You guys, soccer. I have to say, I have learned to become a student of soccer. I now know there are 11 players on the team. I know that there are no timeouts, right? And they play with a running clock, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
All right, so let's keep educating me a little bit about soccer. Now, you guys are doing something a little different in terms of soccer in the area. You guys are playing co-ed soccer, which the boys and girls play together, and you guys either play other co-ed teams or you play, from what I gather, is just a boys team.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit. Talk about being able to have a co-ed team and what that means for our audience.
Well, having a co-ed team, I mean, it brings a little bit of challenges playing a varsity boys schedule, but I mean, you also get to play other co-ed teams, and the big part of the challenge is a lot of physicality because some people aren't necessarily prepared for it going against in a varsity boys schedule, but it really, with a co-ed team, especially with us being juniors, sophomores, and freshmen, it helps us prepare us for next year because everyone's coming back.
Okay.
So,
okay. Kelly, from your perspective, what's different about it? And also tell me, how long have you been playing either to prepare you to be playing on the co-ed team? So what's that like for you?
I've always played on an all-girls team, and then last year, my first year playing on a co-ed team, and the physicality was brought up by so much. It's just hard playing boys teams whenever you've never played a boy before.
Is it fast-paced? Does it, for instance, for what I learned last week, that there are plays, right? Mm-hmm. You guys can have plays, they can have different defensive sets. So do you have to adjust the plays, or do you have to do anything in particular to kind of get an advantage or be able to compete?
well, with some certain teams, we have to change our formation, which in some games we play in a 4-4-2, which means we'd have four defensive people, 4 midfielders, and 2 strikers, which is 2 offensive players. And in other games, we would play 2-3-2-3, so we'd have 3 defenders, 2 midfielders, 3 other midfielders that are above the 2, and then 2 playing at the midfield, and then our goalie. So depending on the pace of the game, and depending on how the other team is coming at you, if they're going hard or if they're going light, it just depends on how that is for our formation.
Okay. Now, Carly, I heard that you attended the game. Can you tell me a little bit how the game went, and from your perspective, what you saw out there?
Yeah, I saw their game against Notre Dame, which was against another co-ed team, and it was very, fast-paced and intense, but, they both, could hold their ground against, anybody that was coming at them, and despite losing, it was a 4-0 loss for Trinity. I think that, after talking to them after the game, there were a lot of positives to take from it. They both had some solid shots on goal, and even Fletcher Hartsock in goal, despite letting the 4 goals in. I believe he had 14 saves. So, they really can compete against anyone.
The deal is, Trinity High School is really, I think 2005, 2006, they were established, and how, sports probably came along a little bit after that. So you guys are really a really young team, and to be able to just compete, and not worry about, what the next, for instance, I read something where the coach said, don't worry about the scores right now, worry about getting better. Mm-hmm. Tell me how the team is dealing with that, or, do you guys worry about the score? How do you approach it?
Well, I guess we worry about the score a little bit, but the main focus right now is getting better because we all get to come back next year. since we're juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. And I think that with the hard losses, it really helps us improve, and it makes us more close as a team. It helps us bond, and it makes us more physical as well. Going against some of these really tough teams like Lindsley and Wheeling Central, it just, I mean, it helps.
You know, so I know this. No, it wasn't at one point Trinity had like an 8-man football team. At one point, I remember those areas. Now they fill the whole team now, don't they? Do they still, is it still 8-man or is it?
No, we do
don't
not have a football team.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay, okay. So so let me ask you this: how many years have you guys have had the soccer team?
We have had a girls soccer team for a really long time, but when I was a freshman, that's when we had a co-ed team. That's when they let us play co-ed, because there's a couple of the seniors, when I was a freshman, there was a couple of the seniors that requested for a boys soccer team, and there was about 9 of us that showed up, and there were 6 girls from the previous season, so they just combined us and made us a co-ed team.
Okay, where do you guys play your games at?
We play at Trinity.
Oh, okay.
There's a field there.
Is it the football field that you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right. So on this show, what we do, which is hard for me to do, is kind of how to cross soccer with football, right? So I try to rationalize what terminology you guys use and what we use. For instance, the fact that we were just talking about defense, right? So when I think of defense, I think of a whole grouping of guys that are trying to stop the opponent from scoring. And I was trying to talk with Carly here and kind of figure out, do you run another team on? And as we thought about it, no, the back end plays more defense, and the front end plays more offense. Can you kind of explain that to our audience?
You can.
The defense protects the goalie more. Like, if the ball gets back, the defense steps up so the goalie doesn't have to worry about it. And then if the goalie does get it, they'll punt it up to the offense, which is like football. They have to punt it to the other team, but usually we try to get it as the offense.
See, that's terminology that's good too. See, last week I didn't get the word punt. So that's that's due to my vocabulary for soccer is punting the ball.
Yeah.
And that's just essentially kicking.
Yeah.
And I know I'm sitting up here and I know you people are like, really, this guy, former football players really don't have a grasp on soccer. Just really don't. So I'm being very honest about that. But again, what I learned last week was it's a fast-paced game. People are playing constantly, and it can be very physical. Now, did you have a chance to see anybody get physical out there?
Yes, I don't know if they would want to, expand a little bit more, but I know one thing in particular I remember because it happened right by like the stands where I was sitting, is that Kaylee got hit in the stomach with a ball. I don't think it meant to go right there, and I mean she just took it and kept on running back with the ball. And
It hurt.
I don't know, Jack, if you had a story or anything.
Share a story with one of the, because I like the aggression, the physical part of it. Talk to me about what's physical about soccer.
Well, okay, there was one story from our last game, which we played Notre Dame at Notre Dame. And me and this one player, we were going down the field, and he had possession of the ball, and I was trying to take it from him. And it came to the point where we both ended up just, like, kicking each other dead on in the shin. And we had swinging our arms, trying to, like, block each other off. And the next thing you know, we both go down, and he got hurt, and he had to get taken off the
penalty
field.
thing, last week I learned about the penalty shot, the PKs. Yes, the PKs. That was some terminology I learned last week. PKs, penalty kick. Now this week I learned about offense, offsides, which is
It's hard to explain offsides.
That was a new deal for me, offsides, and it kind of sounded like you couldn't advance before you were able to kick the ball, forward or something along those lines. Do they call a lot of penalties in soccer?
It depends on the physicality of the other team, because we try and go 50-50, so if they're pushing us, we're going to try and push them back, but sometimes the refs don't make even calls, so just whatever happens, pretty much.
Now, can you get ejected from a soccer game?
Yes.
Yeah.
They give you a warning, and then they give you a yellow card. And a yellow card's kind of like a foul in basketball, except it's technically like a technical in basketball. So they'll take you off the field, but you can come back on. And if you were to say have another foul, instead of giving you another yellow card, they give you a red card and you're ejected from the game. So you can't go back on, and not only can you not go back on for the rest of the game, you're suspended for the next game as well.
Okay, okay. Well, listen, guys, in this show, we do trivia. So now's the time for trivia, and for the fans, all you really had to do is listen to what we talked about, and we kind of give clues about what the answer should be. But I have to tell you, the audience is right there. To be able to participate in this, you got to be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. And if you're not here, make sure you go to thedominionpost.com, and you can always find us there. All right, let's get after it. Now, this is one that everybody should know. There's a term that we used earlier that went along with football, and it rhymes with your aunt. What's that? I'm amusing myself. So there's a term that we just mentioned, and it's a football term that rhymes with aunt. Raise your hand if you know the answer.
Rhymes with what?
You didn't hear me? So there's a term we use in the conversation, and it's a football term that someone just said. Okay, she raised her hand.
When the goalie kicks punt.
It sounds like you got help. So this is what I'm gonna do. I got two answers here. She had her hand up. You had an answer, but you didn't have the mic. So we're gonna give out two things. Can we give out two shirts? We got one shirt for her. There you go. And one shirt for the lady in back. Thank you guys again. To win, all you gotta do is come down here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. And we like to make these real easy. We like to give you stuff. So come on out, bring your friends. They got great food here, and we always gonna have live entertainment. We're gonna have good people involved with the show. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep talking about soccer for a little bit. Okay, so I've learned there's punting, there's defense. So again, I guess for me, Carly, who's the most valuable person? Well, I learned that the midfielder, is it?
I mean, I think that each position, kind of has their own role. And same with you, I didn't play soccer myself ever, so it's, I know enough to write about it and, be able to watch and know what's going on. But, I mean, I do think, having a strong midfielder that can really attack and know where to connect the passes. At the same time, and not only just to save the goals, but I think a goalie is very important as well. And I noticed one thing with your goalie is that he's very vocal. And it seems like, if he's not, or if he lets a ball in and gets down, then that can kind of have an effect on the rest of the team.
Yeah. Okay, so what does a goalie say to motivate his team? Because I'm thinking you guys are running down the field and you're running away from them. You know what I mean? So when do you have a time to interact with them?
Well, our goalie, he kind of just screams random stuff that we have a whole bunch of inside jokes on the team, and sometimes he'll just scream it, and we'll get it, no one else will, and everyone will be laughing on the field, and everyone in the crowd is just like, what? And he always he says good job and stuff. He's and when he's about to punt, he always says punt, and when he's about to take the ball, he says keep, and keep, which means that he's gonna grab it with his hands.
Oh, okay.
But I guess with his communication to keep people where they are is he just has a really loud voice, and he's not only does he say those little inside jokes, but he's really encouraging. And before the game he takes his upbeat attitude and he really uses it to keep the rest of the team positive in the game.
Okay, great. So quick question: how do coaches get plays into the team? If you're gonna run a play, you don't call a timeout. Are these signals, or how does that work?
Well, what he'll normally do is, because we run two formations, he'll either yell it out himself, and we have the captains or the midfield or the striker, depending whoever's nearer to the coach, will yell it out. But that's pretty much it. He just got to yell it, and that's for any team really, unless they have symbols, which I've never seen before.
Okay. So when you're there, Do the parents or do the fans get involved? Do they cheer? Do they talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, oh, they definitely do. And I mean, there's a couple parents, I don't know whose, they are, that are a little more vocal, not in a bad way, just, very encouraging. And I mean, they can see the whole field, whereas if you're out there playing, I don't know, how much you could see besides what's right in front of you. They know what's coming behind you. But yeah, they're very into it, cheering the whole time. And you get a couple parents from the opponent as well.
I got to get out to a game. I mean, that's just what it is. I got to get out and see what it's all about and be able to come back here and be able to talk about this thing a little bit more. So let me kind of mix it up a little bit again and again, talk about soccer, talk about football. Did you guys get a chance to watch WVU play?
We didn't. We did not. I
did not.
Because this past Saturday we had a game.
Okay. Are you Mountaineer fans?
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think about this guy they keep talking about, Will Greer? He's the quarterback of the football team. What do you think?
I think he made a good move coming up here.
Absolutely. I agree with that. In fact, and honestly and truthfully, I think, and you might be able to help out with this here, I think Coach Hoganson has done a good job of being able to bring in guys, who have some experience, plug them into the offense, and then they be very productive.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the last couple quarterbacks we've had have been 2-year guys. And you got to think, just imagine if that was a soccer player coming onto your team and being able to be productive right away. It says a lot about a coach. And I'm going to talk about him even a little more on the second segment of it. But I want to just kind of hear what you guys were thinking about the Will Greer deal.
I think he's very talented at what he does, and I think he can clearly see everything. Well, not everything, but most everything in front of him, based on where he needs to throw it or if he needs to run it. And I think from what I've seen on the sidelines, he has good communication with his team, which really helps on the field based on what play they're going to run. But I think he's a very positive for the WVU season.
He is. One thing about some leaders, I haven't seen any really chatter from him. You know what I mean? Even his interviews are kind of low key. He's really mature, and he just comes. It seems like he's just a guy that just wants to just do his job, and give West Virginia the best opportunity to win. I want to talk about him a lot more because, coming in, playing Virginia Tech, playing a subpar team the week after that in East Carolina, and then being able to play against the Hornets this past weekend, he's really getting the opportunity to kind of hone his skills, kind of match up with the other players and get timing on all those things together, and I think he's handling it really well, really well. But listen, before I let you guys get out of here, I want to ask the fans here if they have any questions for you all. So guys, if you hear, we got the soccer team here from Trinity High School, the co-ed team who plays very physical, who is here with us today. If you have any questions, please raise your hand so we can ask them some questions. Any questions for our soccer guys and girls? I can't be the only one who asks questions. And I know there's a person who's sitting right in front of me who knows a whole bunch of stuff about soccer. who I know could answer a good question. Yes, sir.
What position do you guys play?
There we go.
I normally play on the defensive side of the field, but every now and then I moved up to striker, which is the two offensive people we have in our formation. At the midfield, that usually doesn't come back on defense. They're offensively there. But yeah, that's
okay. What you got, Taylor?
I play everywhere except for goalie. I'm just moved to wherever our team needs me. Like, even if I'm on defense, I'll go up and play striker if that's needed. I'll just have someone drop back and just move around.
Let me ask you this: do you have like faster people in certain areas? You know what I mean? More bulkier people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Swifter people or offensive and bulkier people.
The bulkier, more physical people are more on defense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Question?
Yeah, the fact that it's a co-ed team is really kind of interesting to me. So
when you're training and when you're practicing for that, do they give you any special instructions, like anything different that you have to go through, to be on a co-ed team?
Well, not necessarily. We when we do our drills for practice and stuff, we play as if we're all very physical guys. We come out at each other like the same thing. And now I mean, like, there is that barrier where, like, you're not gonna, like, kill this person. You're not gonna, like, beat them down, but they still expect you to go hard and physical and to keep them to improve and get more physical for game situations, because the other team's not gonna go easy on you.
Okay.
And so.
Have to practice like it's a game all the time. Keep it up.
Now, Kaylee, now, be honest. Do you kind of go after guys a little harder? You got a nice clean shot on the guy?
Yeah.
I figure that's a great opportunity in the co-ed space
Yeah.
to be able to be very, very physical, with the boys, Good deal. Any other questions? Oh yeah. What you got for me?
This question's for both of y'all. Is there any particular player in which you idolize and like try to make your game be like theirs?
For me, no.
So
Really?
not even like Ronaldo or not even Messi.
No. No, I like to play my own game. I don't like to try and copy other people.
Well, I like Alex Morgan because she just hustles all the time and doesn't give up, and like that's like her hustle put her where she is now. And that's just who I want to be in the future.
Okay, good question. Got a question in the back. Yes, ma'am. We'll get her the mic here. You guys are answering a great question.
I want to know how old you were when you first started playing soccer.
I was 6 years old.
I was 5 years old, and then I stopped playing when I was 7, and I started playing again when I was 15.
Okay. Now, do you guys play any other sports?
Yeah,
I do basketball and track.
Me too. I do basketball and track.
Okay. We got another question? Great, good stuff.
Oh my God.
So how do you all like your first year head coach?
I think he's a really good coach, and he really pushes us hard, and he expects us to go hard. So, yeah.
I can't say much. He's my dad. He's a good coach, though. He works us hard, and like we've all improved to where we are now.
Good deal. That is so important, First of all, doing two things. I'm sure when he coaches you all, he expects there's a level of competitive that he expects out of all of you guys.
Yeah.
I'm sure of that. Good deal. So for instance, like I said, I read that Coach not putting a whole lot of emphasis, on where you guys are this season. He's focused on you guys becoming a better team. You feel like you're getting better week in and week out?
Yes. I think every single one of us improves after each game or each practice, because there are some people on the team that have not played before, and they've improved like immensely.
Tremendously.
It's like they've actually played before. That's how well they've improved. And I really think that us improving is really going to help us next year, since everyone's coming back, and then upcoming freshmen.
Okay. Paul, you got any questions for him?
Yeah, well, I was just kind of going to go off of that. If you think this is a season more of kind of like getting that depth, because I know you had a very good season last year, and then like you said, you lost some people. I mean, it was their best season in 8 seasons, and then you lost some key people. But yeah, having 4 freshmen, 2 that have never played before, but like you said, you're not losing anybody. So it's a good year to build that experience.
Yeah.
Good deal. And so, in college athletics, that's what, Coach Hogan's has been here 5 years, right? We talk about building depth, and he's done quite well, to be honest with you. I always worry about the expectation with not only just the players, but the coaches and their fans, Sounds like you guys kind of got that under control, and you're just really focusing on getting better. All right. Well, good stuff, guys. Listen, we want to, first of all, thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
And we, again, every week we're going to try to do something like this, and hopefully we can have you back at some point. All right? So, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck
Thank
with your
you.
season, and we're going to keep this thing moving. All right, great deal. We can certainly do a quick trivia question. So listen, to win trivia, you got to be here every week at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. And if you don't catch us here, make sure you go to thedominionpost.com and check us out there. We'll always be there. All right, here we go. Trivia questions. Guys, we need to know, true or false? True or false? The soccer team has offense, defense, and special teams. True or false? Raise your hand. Raise your hand.
False.
There we go. False. Great. I had to throw that out there because I definitely don't know much about soccer. And you get this water bottle. All righty. I tell you, Amanda, you can catch. Amanda, you've been doing your thing.
Hello.
All righty.
Am I good? Am I good? Yeah, that's good.
Guys, as we get ready, we're gonna Carla, we're gonna get ready to start talking about WVU football. Great, big weekend. When I say big weekend, it's the second game, home game, and fans get ready for it. While we're getting ready, our good friend Jordan Thompson is back. He's been with us for the last couple of weeks, and man, he does a great job of sharing what the experience is. He's former Mountaineer wide receiver, and again, he's gonna help us chop it up and talk about Mountaineer. Jordan, good to see you again, my
Good
friend.
seeing you too, man. How you doing?
All
Good?
righty. Yes. So, you were at the game last weekend. Did you attend to the game last week?
No, I didn't go to the game last week, but I watched it on TV.
Me either. I watched it on TV. It's the best seat in the house.
Right?
Yes.
With the commercial.
Absolutely. So listen, last week, Mountaineers play another subpar team. I was talking to Carly about it earlier. It's actually at the right time. I think the schedule's kind of set up for them, Jordan, to get better in terms of timing with the running backs, quarterbacks, and all that. What do you think about the way the schedule is set up and where the Mountaineers are in their third game of the season?
Usually, the way the schedule is usually set up is like just for that reason. So like we'll play like a tough team, a good quality team for the first season opener usually, and then the other two games is kind of like a tune-up game, getting us ready to go into the Big 12 season. So. But nevertheless, you got to take each game seriously and everything because you never know, you can lose at any given Saturday. So definitely I feel like the way the schedule's set up, basically out of conference, is set up because you have more control out of conference than in conference. So the way in conference is just basically on how the Big 12 schedules it, and I think West Virginia has one of the toughest Big 12 scheduling. The way it's lined up is very tough, especially that October area. So that's where it's going to get October, November, that's where it's going to get tough for Mountaineers. So what Dana did was trying to get them more in a rhythm going into the season or going into the conference play, so they have a lot of confidence and be ready to go.
And I see it, as I said to you earlier, I think it's a good thing, Carly, because, we got Will Greer being a new quarterback, new system. Timing's a big deal, you know what I mean? And I think you can see it on the field as they get better. I thought Virginia Tech, they were really not in sync in my opinion, just my opinion. And then it seemed like they got better against East Carolina. And again, this weekend I thought they seemed to got better. The addition Marcus Sims. I thought he comes out of nowhere, does a better job at special teams. So I think he got the first kick, did an outstanding job. I think we're doing okay. What did you see? What did you see in the third game?
Well, it was definitely kind of a slow start, offensively and defensively, but they really, got into play after. And I just think there were some crazy, maybe stats, about that game, like the possession time that Delaware State had over WVU, 38 minutes maybe, 37-48. They really had possession, but WVU was just so quick to score. That's something that they didn't have a problem with. But with the score, being so high and things like that, they had an opportunity to sub in some other running backs. Chris Chugnov, if I'm saying that right, got to play quarterback. So it was kind of a way, it was a way to build a little depth right before, Big 12 play starts in case, because those guys are going to have to go in sometimes. So they got good experience at a good time.
I tell you, Jordan, I'm sure you saw it. That first score by Delaware State where there's a misassignment, you got a guy running 81 yards. I mean, I'm sure that was a scare right away. What do you think Coach Gibby's saying when he sees something like that?
It wasn't really much of a scare. It was just more of like, are you serious, And I know Gibby he was on his old Dana, how he was probably yelling at them, getting them hyped because regardless of who you're playing, you do not want to see an 81-yard touchdown.
Right.
Regardless. That's just embarrassing. So he was definitely into them and stuff, but like Carly was saying, they did get off to a slow start, and that was one of the things I was kind of worried about was them coming if they were going to get up for the game, and coming up that slow start, it definitely had a lot of questions going through because I felt like they weren't as polished as they needed to be, especially with the turnovers that they had, and that actually kept Delaware State in the game. So. They didn't come out, ready to play, but they made up for it. So.
Right. And I think sometimes when people see the score, someone scoring 56 points, they say, well, it was a good day. But, in the football world, the coaches are being very critical and analyzing what they do out on the field. That's the part where you'll see a player, we won the game, but they're not running back to the locker room, you know what I mean? You know that feeling.
Oh, yeah,
well. I do. You won the game, but you're going back like, man, we got some work to do.
And they knew it.
Right?
Like that's why, Coach Holgerson said, I'm not worried necessarily because he knew that they all knew what, needed to be fixed. And they said it even in like the post-game interviews and stuff,
And it's so important because this week we're going in the Big 12 play, And that becomes the real deal. I mean, in fact, we have no more. I mean, we're in Big 12 play.
Yeah, Kansas.
Starting next week.
At Kansas.
Yeah, and the good thing, the good things that I saw in the game is defensively we're starting to come along a little bit. What are you feeling about defense?
Me personally, I think defense has a lot of depth. So I don't really have a problem with the defense. It's just that them finally, being out there and not hitting someone on their own team, But the more reps you get and experience you get, the other guys will come around. So I don't have a big problem with defense. I think the defense is going to be who they are. They're going to make plays, They're going to give up some plays, not as much as many people think, but I think they'll be fine. And I just have an issue with the offense. It's out of sync. There's some possessions where you want to get in a rhythm because usually, basically, West Virginia's offense is more rhythm with a fast tempo offense. And I just feel like sometimes when you're trying to get in the rhythm, then you have these turnovers that kill the momentum.
Right.
That could, in a key game, that could very hurt the offense and the team. So it's just the defense. For real, the defense, I think they'll be just fine.
Right. As I, a couple weeks ago, I was concerned, or I mentioned Justin Crawford in terms of his carries and what he's been able to do. This is his third game where he's ran over 100 yards. The kid just finds a way to be productive for the Mountaineers. And I think that's kind of giving, I'm sure that it's giving Coach Holgerson the confidence to be able to give him the ball. And the fact that we're going to Big 12 play, I think we'll see more of him being productive for the Mountaineers. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I agree. I mean, him and Gary Jennings, too, they both were chewing up the yards on the field and, like you said, like making plays happen and getting into the end zone quick, too, very quickly. And, Coach Holgerson said he has all the confidence in them to start a Big 12 play, just keep doing what they know they have to do.
Now, what do you think about, and again, I'm jumping around here, but because it's just coming to my mind, what do you think where Will Greerhead has to be right now in terms of, I'm sure he's thinking to himself, we could be better.
Yeah, and that's what you want from a quarterback.
Right.
You always want to be better, regardless. Put that game behind, because I'm pretty sure he's not even looking at the stats.
Right.
I mean, like he's doing his part. Putting the ball on the money. Has a lot of young receivers, a lot of miscues on the offensive line. And even in the backfield with the fumbles and turnovers, they're gonna happen, but you want to limit them. But I think what he's thinking right now is that, okay, now we really need to buckle down. It's go time. It's basically what we've been working up this whole entire year for in the off season. Now it's time to show and polish up what we need to, and it starts with Kansas. So I think he's going to go in with the mindset of, you know, making a statement to the Big 12 against Kansas, and then following the game after that.
Right, and that's going to be important. Now, one thing that I would say, and then you guys chime in at any point, we have to be, as fans, and certainly as former players, we have to keep in mind that this is a young team still. You know what I mean? I almost feel like people, you know, have this expectation that they have to be successful out of the gate. Are you kind of getting that sense or feeling like that in terms of fans, you know, expecting them to win, you know, 10 games with no problem? I mean,
I think, yeah, probably just like with the history of the team and just, you know, because I'm not from Morgantown, but everybody knows this is a football town and, you know, everybody's into it. So, yeah, I definitely think they expect that.
Yeah, and she's right. Yeah, she's right. She's honestly right. I mean, regardless if, you know, if the team's young or if it's a rebuilding year, they always want to see the team succeed. And coming off of a 10-3 year, you don't expect anything less. So I feel like they definitely, even though it's a young team, if the young players are on the field, they're on the field for a reason.
Right.
They're on the field because they have potential. They can play right now. They're on the level to play. And Dana Holgers is going to put the best people, 11 people on the field at any time. So, I mean, regardless if it's a young team, the fans definitely expect them to perform.
I agree, and we're going to take it to the fans right now with the new trivia question. Guys, and look what I got here. I got this nice, I don't even have one of these. I got this nice WVU license plate here. And again, to win stuff like this, guys, you got to be here every Wednesday, 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. If you don't catch us here, make sure you go to the DominionPost.com. Guys, I put the answer out there, and all you have to do is raise your hand. We'll bring you the mic. You give us the mic. We'll give you an opportunity to win. How many 100-yard game rushing games have Justin Crawford ran? How many 100-yard games? This year. First 3 games.
All three.
3 100-yard games. Thank you so much. Again, it's just that easy. All you have to do is be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. Let's keep this thing moving. Again, we're going to keep talking about the Mountaineers. The thing about when you play these lesser opponents, everybody expects you to do what WVU did this past weekend. The only problem I have is, does it give the team false confidence?
No, it doesn't give them false confidence because you expect to do that against whoever's on the field. I remember, because especially on the offensive side of the ball, we expect that we could score and that no one can ever stop us. You know, regardless if it's Oklahoma lining up against us or Texas lining against us, Texas Tech, it doesn't matter. We are going to put up points. You're going to have to stop us because at the end of the day, I, the position player and our team knows we're better than you. You know, it just comes down if we're going to beat ourselves and shoot ourselves in the foot. So it doesn't give them false hope or confidence. You know, it actually gives them more confidence. You know, so that's what I think.
Good question. And I kind of feel that again. And I'm gonna just be honest with you and say, oftentimes, Carly, you know, and you hit us a lot that we will play down to some of our less opponents. You know, and we'll get upset about it, and we kind of just know it. But lately, they've done really well, you know, and I'm excited about it. Now, we are 5-1 against Kansas. We cannot take Kansas lightly. We're going to Lawrence, Kansas to play the Jayhawks. What do you think this team has to do to stay focused and be prepared for a game like Kansas?
I think you said it right there, is stay focused. I mean, like 3 turnovers in the first half last weekend, you know, that can't happen this weekend coming. So I just think, yeah, staying focused, concentrating, you know, things like that. playing how they have to. And I don't know if, like you said, it just seemed like they maybe didn't come to play as much at the beginning of last game. Maybe that was a little bit of a wake-up call. Like, we know the mindset that we have to have next week, seeing how, Delaware State played against us when we're not focused.
Yeah, I was part of that team that lost to Kansas in Kansas. I was part of that team. Lawrence, Kansas is a tough place.
Talk about that, man. That's it.
Talking about what, the loss or what, the situation?
So did you guys take them lightly when you guys played that? I mean,
honestly, yeah, we took them lightly, but just because playing in Lawrence, Kansas is not really a football school.
Right,
it's a basketball school. But so like honestly, when we stepped onto the field for pre-warm-ups, and I kid you not, there's probably like 154 people in the stands.
Wow.
So it was like, whoa. So it was kind of hard to get yourself up, get ready to play. And then we went on the field just thinking that, just because we're West Virginia, we're going to beat them. They're Kansas. It was windy, and then just we couldn't find a rhythm on offense. And we just could not find a rhythm on offense. And all of a sudden, it was a close game. Going to third quarter, it was a really close game. Fourth quarter, we were losing.
Right.
And then we ended up losing the game, and they snapped their streak, and they stormed the field.
Right.
It was the most embarrassing feeling that I ever had in my whole life, But for them, I mean, I'm pretty sure Dana's going to definitely put that recording up and let them remind them that, hey, we did lose to Kansas before in Lawrence, Kansas. This is what they did, and he's going to show them what to expect when they step on the field, because it's going to be like Delaware State, going against Delaware State, except it's reversed. You're on the road. So you don't got the home crowd pumping you up or anything. You have to find ways to stay focused, like she said, and get yourself motivated to play a football game.
Right. Full disclosure, Kansas was my first college visit.
Right. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with great school. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. I went to junior college in Kansas, so my first trip was Kansas. Then I went to Kansas State.
Kansas State a little bit better,
Now Manhattan, Kansas, though, man, it's a different beast out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but it's all good. Again, now one thing that I do know, and I'm sure you can attest to that, when you step up into Big 12 play, I think you tighten your shoes up a little bit. You tighten those laces up a little tighter because it's the real deal now. Everything counts, So I suspect that our team will be prepared going into Kansas. And as you just mentioned, they won't take them lightly. Are you hearing any chatter from the coaches or anything that they're saying to the guys to try to keep them motivated?
Well, honestly, I'm more of like the high school sports. So Sean Manning covers
right,
all the football. So I did get to
right.
help him last week, but that was my first game that I helped cover. So, I saw what he said after that game, but like I said, it was mostly just that he still has confidence because the players were owning up to everything they did, good and bad, and that's all I think.
Right. Hey, and the one thing that I always worry about, and you might be able to speak to this will be their first really official away game. First game was a neutral site.
Yeah.
2 home games. They got to pack up, put all their stuff, and drive out to Kansas. Does that weigh on the players at all? I mean, obviously in the Big East, we played up and down the Eastern Coast. Does it impact you all playing all over the Big 12 or in the Mid-East, Midwest, and going down to Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma?
Well, I'm from Texas, so it was like going back home. But I mean, it messes up your internal clock. So because you're going behind an hour.
Yep. An hour
so
now.
Usually when you're used to waking up at 7 o'clock, you're actually waking up at 6 o'clock there and stuff. So basically, the coaches, what they do, they give you itinerary and an agenda. So you have to follow it, and it's adjusted to the central time zones. But as far as traveling and stuff, it does a little bit puts a little wear and tear, just on your body because you're just traveling. Like especially when it's every other week, you're traveling. It puts a little bit, but I mean, that's what you train the whole entire 9 months of the year, entire 9 months just to play at least 13 games. 10 games in the Big 12. You train, so it's worth it. You expect it and it's worth it and you're excited for it. It's great seeing different states, seeing different universities and stuff. That's one of the best experiences, just going out and seeing different schools and stuff and how they relate to your university and stuff. But for the most part, after a victory on the airplane ride is sweet,
Yes.
but it's definitely a bitter taste when you lose.
Absolutely. It's quiet.
Yeah, it's quiet and you just be thinking about, man, You know, we let the fans of Morgantown and all of West Virginia down. You know, you just feel really down, and then we relive the game the next day because you watch the whole entire film and stuff. You know, but you know, we learn from mistakes, and you just got to bounce back.
One thing I will say to the fans, and I mean again, there is this deal, you know, when you start pregame and you really don't want to do, you know, too much because you don't want to hurt yourself in pregame, a shoulder or pull a ham or something like that. Boy, but when you just before kickoff, boy, this energy, this on switch comes on, and boy, you get into mode really quick. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you've got a sprained ankle or what have you. You are in game mode, and it is go time. You're on the big stage, and it's just this feeling of wanting to produce results really comes into play for all of the football players. Again, I want to just point that out to the fans, man. These guys really get up and be prepared to go. All right, guys, it's that time again. We got to ask you some questions. And in fact, I'm going to let one of you guys ask the trivia questions. So as I give them the spiel on being here at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill every Wednesday night, you guys can come up with a question. While I remind them to go to DominionPost.com and look under the football section, and you can find our videos there every Thursday to check us out. So, guys, any trivia questions for our fans?
You can give one if you want. It don't matter. Go ahead.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one.
Based off of what we all just talked about?
Oh, yeah, she can give you one.
It's hard, see?
No, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
Is WVU playing next? Is that too easy of a question?
No, because we want them to pay attention.
Yeah.
Right? And why, if they pay attention, they'll get these stuff. So, raise your hand if you know who WVU's next opponent is. I don't think it's because I want you to pay attention. That's the deal, right? I'm okay with you winning. You just got to pay attention. The next opponent.
Let me think about this. I think it might be Kansas.
There you go. Kansas.
At noon.
There you go.
Or ESPNU.
Wow, there we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Don't be
That's what I'm
promoting
talking
that,
about. That you just want a subscription to Dominion Post. Again, guys, we want you to come here. Communicate with us and not catch us by the water cooler, you know, at our place of employment. All right. That's why we do this show. We do it every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. And again, that's really why we do this show. People always, when I see them, they ask me, you know, what do you think about the team? Right? Well, the best way to find out what I think about the team is to come here and ask us the questions, right?
Yep.
You know, we're not beholden to anybody. We're former players. We're in media. You know, we're able to kind of just tell it like it is. You know, that's how I feel about it.
Yep.
All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so we play Kansas in Kansas. First Big 12 action. Feel like the Mountaineers. I will be prepared for it. Who do you expect, you know, a good game out of for that game?
Marcus Sims on the offensive side.
Yeah.
I feel like we missed him in Virginia Tech, and like I've talked to him before, and you know, he knew what he did was wrong, and that's why he missed Virginia Tech. You know, but he always didn't stop working. He was always working and stuff, and I mean, that's good to see from a young player. And you know, again, he's young. He has a lot of maturity issues that will be happen as you know years go on. But nevertheless, he has shown that he could be the playmaker for West Virginia.
Right. Anybody in particular?
Maybe Kenny Robinson at corner. I believe, was Delaware State his first start there? Or was
Yeah.
it his first start. He had like 6 tackles, a big one, you know, for a loss of 14 yards. So, you know, it's like an ex-safety. I think that he could do well at corner.
Right. My guy, and I have to be, you know, I'm biased. Al Rashid. I like
my boy Al. That's my boy.
Yeah, I like the kid. I mean, he plays in the middle. He gets after. I like his physicality. I expect for him to be a lead on that defense. Mm-hmm. And again, as a defense perspective, I want to see guys show leadership, and especially at that position because we've done quite well over the last couple of years. Again, I believe the team is ready. not only are they ready for Kansas, though, I think they're ready for Big 12 play. You know what I mean? With the exception, in terms of timing from the offensive standpoint, I think our guys want to be in the Big 12, a Big 12 play right now. What do you think?
I mean, that's the goal. I mean, you
Right.
want to be in the Big 12. As far as, are we ready to right now compete for like the title right now? Honestly, I don't think so. Not right now, just because the timing's off,
Right.
and that's going to be a big issue because a lot of teams in the Big 12 put up points. Like Oklahoma State, like Oklahoma, even TCU, Texas Tech.
Right.
They put up points, so you have to like combat putting up the points. Because I mean, regardless, the defense is not gonna. The whole ideal in the perfect world, you want defense to give up 0 points.
Right.
But realistically, it's hard, especially in the league we're playing in the Big 12, where they constantly pass and they strive on offense. It's hard to stop a high-power offense. So to combat that is just outscore them.
Right.
And you need games such as Kansas. Even though they're not the cream of the crop, they're a team that is very competitive, and they can help West Virginia find their timing.
Right. I agree with everything you said, specifically the Marcus Sims thing. You know what I mean? I think guys like him are going to help the team, and I also agree with the timing deal. You know what I mean? I hopefully defense can play long enough to keep them in the game.
Right.
If defense do their thing, and all they have to do is get the advantage in terms of 2 stops a game, and a lot of offense to outscore their opponent. We win ball games, right?
Yeah.
That's our saying, right? Defense win ball games.
Yeah, just get a couple stops and let the offense put the ball in the end zone.
Absolutely. And I feel like they can get it done.
Yeah.
So again, the question was, our team is being ready for the Big 12 play. I mean, what's your thought on where we are right now, moving into Big 12, or the fact that they want to play now? We played the subpar teams. I want to see what we're made of right now.
Yeah, and I think maybe this will be a good game to see that if we can get the execution, timing down, see the difference that it makes for the offense and defense.
And I think it's going to be the Will Griff factor is going to come into effect at some point. I think he's going to be in addition to the weapons he has, he's going to be. I think he could potentially be the X factor for our team. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's going to be the X factor, but he can't do it himself.
Right.
I mean, everybody knows what Will Grier can do. I mean, he's a good quarterback. He can only do so much. He can call the plays, check out of the bad play, call protection, and throw the ball, and run the ball too. But you're going to have those playmakers where, when teams such as Texas is bringing 8 people in the box and blitz in every single play, you're going to have people make the tough catches and stuff. So I mean, I think Will Grier, he is who he is. He's the quarterback of the West Virginia Mountaineers. And he's gonna be in the talk of being Big 12 Player of the Year and stuff like that. It's just gonna come down to his playmakers, and I think that's the key, is being able to make plays in tough plays that you're not supposed to make.
Right.
If you make them. We saw a lot of drops in this last game.
Right.
It's David Sills dropped the ball. Gary dropped the ball, and you can't have those. You can't have those easy gimme catches where you pick up 10 yards of first down, get the offensive rhythm. You can't have those drops. So, and the ball was thrown perfectly.
Right.
Like I'm saying, so he can only do so much. So
what's that old saying? Players do what? Make
plays.
plays.
You
Players make plays.
You gotta make plays.
That's it. So every week, we expect for guys to make plays. Carly, what you got? What do you think about what they got to do?
Wait, what does who have to? Just everybody.
Yep.
I don't know if I have anything else to add. I mean, I think the skill's there, but just like he was saying, the big plays have to be made. Definitely the ball can't be dropped, especially when I'm pretty sure it happened twice in a row, one of the plays against Delaware State. So.
Right. And although they did get turnovers this week, that's going to be key. Moving in Big 12 play, as I mentioned before, there's a stat. The defense has a stat. They look to make those turnovers every week. It's going to be that much more important moving into Big 12 play. They got to have takeaways. If we don't have takeaways in the Big 12, it's going to be a long year for us. I think it's safe to say that.
Yep.
You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
All right. Guys, are we ready for questions from the audience? We want to, okay, we got a question. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get the mic over to you. And again, be able to ask questions, to be able to win prizes, you got to be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. We got a question for our panel. Going once. I know you got a question. I'm telling you, there we go. I'm telling you, this happens to me all the time. It happens to us. We will leave this podium or this spot. I'll stand over there, and we'll get somebody to walk over and ask a question.
Oh,
every
really?
time. It works like that every time.
Okay, this is actually a question about WU, but on Saturday, TCU plays Oklahoma State. How do you think that's going to work out? Like Oklahoma State or TCU?
You want me to answer?
Go ahead, take that one. Take that one.
Honestly, I think Oklahoma State's going to roll TCU because they're playing in Stillwater too, and Mason Rudolph is going to put up big numbers. Even though I like Kenny Hill, you know, for TCU. I like TCU. I like him, you know, but I think Oklahoma State, they're in rhythm right now, and they're putting their foot on the pedal. So I think they're going to roll, and it's the first Big 12 game in Stillwater too. So I feel like Oklahoma State's actually going to win big. I feel like the final score will probably be 56-21. Yeah, so yeah, I think Oklahoma State's going to roll TCU.
Okay. Alrighty, you all. That is it. That is it for us this evening. I want to remind you, we're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. And I'll say to all of you fans out there, until next time, huddle up.